What is up, everybody? It's your boy, Jimmy, back at you with another episode of Combat and Cryptids. I know it's been a few weeks, obviously, since I have recorded a video, but I'm sorry, kind of work, life, home balance. These past few weeks have been insanely busy, so I haven't really had that much time to record any content. And yeah, I mean, we'll just, the work is starting to slow down a little bit more. So I guess we'll see how everything goes and get back into the swing of things and everything like that. Everything at the house is kind of calmed down and everything like that. So we'll try and get back into the groove of everything. But I mean, I'll pump them out as fast as or with as much time as I have. So again, everybody, I do apologize for the lull in all the videos and stuff like that. But we try and get everything back on board. So other than that, today, what we plan on talking about today. So there's been a lot. I don't know if you guys have seen this video, but there's a video, and I'm thinking about doing like a live stream so we can watch some of these videos and stuff like that. Because I don't know how YouTube copyrights everything, and I don't know what you can post and stuff like that, and on all this stuff. So I don't really want to. We'll see what we can do with that. But there was this video of this woman who's on the plane, and they were about to get ready to leave, and they were about to go on. I don't know where it was at or anything like that, but I just saw it's like a 30-second clip. But basically, the woman was sitting there, and she was freaking out. She wanted to get off the plane. She didn't want to be there. She didn't want to do anything with the plane. She didn't want to go on the trip and everything like that, because she said that the guy next to her was like shape shifting, like he was like an alien. Like it was just like freaking her out. And he was doing all this stuff and being all weird and stuff like that. His face was changing and all this stuff. So she freaked out. And then all of a sudden, this woman supposedly, after that, she got off the plane and everything like that. She supposedly went missing after that, or something happened to her. Either she's missing because she doesn't want to explain her side of the story, or she's missing because something happened to her. But basically, what she was saying is this guy was like a shapeshifter and like an alien style, and he was doing all these creepy ass things and all this other stuff. So it really freaked her out. So that's why she wanted to get off the plane. So that's what today's subject is going to be about. So the 9 most convincing alien abduction stories in modern history. So aliens are already weird. All the alien stuff is always just, it's always just been a bad and kind of a weird thing and stuff like that. So it's really, some of these stories are pretty wild. Some of them are out there. Some of them you can tell like a lot. With these things you could easily be like, hey, somebody made these up. But it's the thing that I like the most about these stories is the diversity in which and where they happen. So it's not like all 9 of them came out from, Washington or New York, and like they all came in like from different areas and different time frames. So that's the hardest part, I guess, that you would have to be able to make it like it's not real. Like that'd be the hardest thing, because it just takes too much time. Like who has the time to do all this stuff and sit on the damn internet and make all this shit up? So it is really weird. But basically, from 1969, Berkshire's UFO, and this was written by Marco Magatoff, edited by John Kurowski. I think it was published in October 2020, and it was updated March 2021. So the Berkshire UFO incident to the eerie tale of Barney and Betty Hill. These alien abduction stories might even make skeptics. Oh, and one more thing before we get into this. Like, if you know what my channel's about, like all I do is I tell stories of incidents and stuff that go on around people and stuff like that. It's not like, if you want to hear like legit like everything there is about aliens, then just go look that shit up. But I had one dude comment. He's like, well, I was looking for this, and all I heard was this random guy just talking. Well, yeah, that's what my channel's about, bro. If you'd have just watched some of the other videos, maybe you would have got that instead of sitting through all of the one that you wanted here. I don't know. So that's what my channel is. It is basically me telling stories about my opinion on aliens or cryptids or whatever the hell it is. So if it's not what you're into, my bad, bro. There's plenty of other channels out there. Have fun. So yeah, just want to clear the air on that. So the alien abduction stories might even make skeptics believe that the truth is out there. On September 20th, 1961, Betty and Barney Hill were driving through the White Mountains of New Hampshire when they said a bright light came out of the sky. 2 hours later, they were back in their driveway with no memory of what had happened or where they'd been. According to their subsequent reports, the couple had traveled to Zeta Reticule, a star system 39 light years from Earth. Betty was even inexplicably able to draw an accurate, detailed map of the sky as seen from that star. This was the first noteworthy alien abduction story in modern history. Their tale captivated a nation that had scarcely heard anything like it before. And in the years that followed, countless other tales of alien and UFO abductions emerged, each containing new detail of grotesque, otherworldly creatures. In 1971, there was the Pascagoula incident, which allegedly saw two fishermen taken from a riverbank in Mississippi and held captive aboard an alien ship. Then in 1978, there was the Travis Walton abduction, during which a Texas man vanished for 5 whole days. While there is not yet to be any proof of these first-hand accounts are real, the 9 alien stories below are certainly detailed enough to cause chills. Aliens, what do you guys think about them? Pretty fucking creepy. It's just weird, I guess. It's something that's, I mean, we can't be the only ones. Yeah, like there's no way. You guys have seen pictures of this, of the solar system and all these galaxies. And there's no way we're the shining point to all this. There's no way, in my opinion. There's no way that could be true. So Barney and Betty Hill's alien abduction story started it all. They took a spontaneous trip to the White Mountains of New Hampshire in September 1961. As he recounted in John G. Fuller's The Interrupted Journey from 1966, Barney needed a break from his night shift at the post office, while Betty was mentally exhausted from handling state child welfare cases. On the last night of their makeshift honeymoon, the two found themselves in a Vermont diner ready to make the last dash home to Portsmouth, New Hampshire. By leaving at 10 p.m., they planned on arriving home around 2 a.m. I don't know who does that. That's kind of an odd time to be traveling, I guess, that late for an older couple. On the road, Betty noticed a particularly bright star, perhaps a planet in the sky, when the celestial object began changing its course in an erratic manner. Betty was convinced it was a UFO. Her husband was not. Barney said, "If you think that a satellite or a star, you're being completely ridiculous." As the object drew closer, Barney pulled the car to a stop, gun in hand, got out to investigate. As he approached the object, Barney saw what he would later describe as a pancake-like disc glowing with brilliant white light that was about the size of a jet. Fleeing back to his car, he and Betty tried to evade the vessel, but were instead overcome with an intense drowsiness and immediately fell unconscious. The couple pulled into their driveway around dawn, unable to recall what had happened. 2 hours of memory seemed to have been wiped from both their minds. While Betty was convinced that they had encountered a UFO and later reported the sighting to the Air Force, her husband was skeptical. It was only when the couple met with psychiatrist Dr. Benjamin Simon for a consultation in December 1963 that Barney changed his mind. Dr. Simon found both to be suffering from crippling anxiety. Betty, in particular, manifested hers in the form of repetitive nightmarish dreams. Dr. Simon then put them under hypnosis, which reportedly yielded higher ominous memories. Barney Hill recalled creatures with slanted eyes taking the couple aboard their UFO to conduct experiments on their naked bodies. Damn, man, you guys got them naked too? Jesus Christ. Barney claimed that the beings took samples of hair, skin, and nail clippings, and that a 6-inch long needle was inserted into Betty's stomach. Betty told Dr. Simon that she was later asked a being they knew to be the leader where they were. It jokingly replied, "If you don't know where you are, there wouldn't be any point in telling you where I am." During another hypnosis session in 1964, Betty purportedly drew a star map of the sky from memory, as seen from a planet orbiting the star Zeta Reticule. Most shockingly above all was that the map was drawn with confounding accuracy and that the Zeta lies some 40 light years from Earth. Betty's nearly spot on recreation of the stars surrounding an actual star system remains one of the most intriguing aspects of all the alien stories ever reported. Ultimately, Barney and Betty Hill's accounts led the Air Force to launch Project Blue Book, a shadowy initiative that aimed to investigate domestic UFO sightings and also presented a template for all UFO abduction stories that followed in the decades to come. Now, see the intriguing part of this whole entire story, the probably the biggest thing and probably the creepiest thing, is that in the 19 what when was this 1967 was it? Let's look at it again. Okay, you guys like the stash? 1971. Okay, so in 1971, well, that was the other one. 1961. Okay, so in 1961, what was our idea of what the universe was and the stars and all that kind of stuff? There's no way. This is the craziest part. There's no way this woman could have known any of this stuff. Like, there's no the how she don't. There's not these fucking fancy telescopes that she can look through all this stuff for. That's probably the craziest part, is that she could draw that from memory because she had seen it somewhere else, and you can put it up as if she was hallucinating or whatever it is, but it's just a weird. That one's a weird one because she can depict what all the stars and all the galaxies and everything look like, and she marked a place that's 31 light years away. Like, there's no way you could just go and be like, oh, that's a pretty normal one right there. Um, so yeah, the 1969 Berkshire's UFO incident that shocked an entire town. About 40 people in Berkshire's witnessed a UFO in 1969, when numerous residents of Berkshire County, Massachusetts, individually reported having seen a UFO on September 1st, 1969. Authorities were at a toss for an explanation. This wasn't a lone sighting induced by sleep deprivation that could be easily dismissed. It truly appeared as though something uncanny had occurred. On the evening in question, residents spotted lights above Sheffield and the southern Berkshires. Many of the witnesses said that the lights were fitted to an unidentified dish-shaped craft that was maneuvering in unprecedented ways. Some witnesses claim that they lost track of time as they gazed with the stunned fascination at the object. Thomas Reed was 9 years old at the time, in the car with his mother, brother, and grandmother that night. The family noticed a group of glowing orbs dash out in the roadside trees. Reed claims that something astounding happened when heading home. His family approached the Sheffield Bridge. It came to a stop off to the right side of the road. He recalled of the glowing orbs. Everything got really calm. It was like being in the middle of a hurricane. There was a barometric change in pressure. It was just like dead silence. There was an eruption of crickets and frogs, and it got really loud, and that was it. Then the family suddenly found itself back in the car, but they had inexplicably lost 2 hours of memory. Stranger still, Reed's mother and grandmother had somehow switched car seats. Jeez. Despite any tangible evidence of the Berkshire UFO incident, Reed had remained steadfast in his account. He said over time, the family regained some memory back of the incident, including having been a hangar-like facility with other people. We encountered something, said Reed. It was definitely not of this world. This hangar thing we were in was huge. It was larger than a football field. This hallway he had seen was circular with a Y configuration, almost to control the flow of traffic. This one room had a bowed-in wall that was rounded. It is important to remember that Reed was only one of a dozen of people who reported witnessing a UFO in the Sheffield area that night. Some were adults who called in the local radio station to report the sighting. Others were children who began drawing UFOs in class. There must have been 20 or 30 sketches that were drawn by children in our fourth grade class from what they saw, said Reed. They hung underneath in the class board in Sheffield Center School. More than one of those hang in the Roswell Museum today. People don't realize the significance of this, and so it wasn't just us. And that one's a that one's, I guess, a little more difficult because you can't, like, there's no way nobody can just discount this. You know what I mean? You can't just be like, nah, this didn't happen because so many people saw it or saw something. And that's the biggest thing is you can't just be like, oh no, it's just like 5 people that are whacked out of their minds. But it's like 20 people saw it and the age groups were so much different. That's probably the craziest thing. I'm gonna open these blinds so we can get a little more light in here because it seems really really dark. Give me 1 second. I don't know if it'll help, but it might. There we go. That's probably a lot better. Nice. All right. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Now it's not as dark, I guess. All right, let's try this again. Yo, these headphones are so irritating. Look. It won't spin. So you gotta fucking spin the damn thing this way, and then this way, and then put them on them big ass ears. All right, now we're good. My bad, people. My bad. Oh, it's hot as hell in here too. That's probably why the damn blinds were closed, because it gets so damn hot in here. So yeah, but that's probably the most compelling part of that is so many people saw it. That's the crazy part. The UFO abduction of Whitley Strieber while he was writing sci-fi. All right, so this one I thought this guy has a lot of stuff about him. Whitley Strieber has written fiction for more than 40 years, with notable titles including the horror novels The Wolfen and The Hunger. Strieber contends that his writing streak was interrupted one night in the late 80s by an alien abduction in upstate New York. Strieber recounted this experience in his nonfiction title Communion in 1987. The alleged incident occurred on the night of December 26, 1985, as Strieber slept alone in his cabin in the woods. Woken by a strange noise, he purposely saw a small, non-human entity approaching his bed. Suddenly it was morning. Not only had he awoken disorientated, but he felt oddly aggressive too. It was during a session of regressive hypnosis a few months later that some of his memories returned. According to Strieber, the beings that had since referred to as visitors entered his home and abducted him. While seen as a work of fiction added to his catalog of alien stories by many, Strieber never wavered from his position in the fact. His later work only doubled down on the notion that aliens were visiting him. In his book, The Key, A True Encounter, Strieber detailed another alien abduction that he claims took place in Toronto. Asleep in his Delta Chelsea hotel room in the middle of the night on June 6, 1998, Strieber claimed to have been visited by another mysterious stranger. I got up to open the door thinking it was the room service waiter, Strieber recalled. It was not. It was a man I described as about 5.5 feet tall, older looking, like someone in his 70s. He wore dark colored clothing, a turtleneck, and charcoal slacks. Strieber claimed the visitor stood motionless by the window for nearly an hour, expounding on the dangers of creating an intelligence more evolved than its creator. Strieber said it was the most extraordinary conversation I've ever had in my life. Many are skeptical of Strieber's alien abduction claims, but one former Green Beret commander and developer of weapons at Los Alamos, New Mexico, another alien hotspot, John B. Alexander, believes him. For more than 2 decades, I have been interacting with Whitley Strieber and found him to be one of the most intelligent and thoughtful researchers in the field, said Alexander. There is no doubt he has had some very strange experiences, and ones that even he does not claim to fully understand. Jesus Christ. This guy's just got him like on speed dial. He just talks to him, deals with him, whatever he wants, whenever he wants to. That's pretty sweet. Wish I had that. You know what I mean? The connections like that. The Pascagoula alien story that saw 2 fishermen subjected to experimentation. It was October 11th, 1973, when Calvin Parker and Charles Hickson went fishing on the banks of Pascagoula River in Mississippi at first, when Parker saw blue lights reflected in the water. He thought police had come to instruct them to leave. I'm going to move this mouse. There we go. A big light came out of the clouds, Parker recalled. It was a blinding light. It was hard to tell with the light so bright, but it looked like it was shaped like a football field. I would say, just estimating, it was about 80 feet and very little sound. It was just a hissing noise. Parker then claimed that the three legless creatures floated out of the vessel towards him. He described all three as having mitten-shaped claws. While one was necklace and gray, the other appeared to be more feminine. When one of them tried to wrap its hands around Parker's neck, his natural response of fear oddly subsided. I think they injected us with something to calm us. It was kind of numb and went along with the program. Parker alleged that he and Hickson were taken aboard the alien vessel and experimented on. Afterward, the two terrified fishermen found themselves back on the riverbank as though nothing happened. They drove to the Jackson County Sheriff's Office and told Captain Glenn Ryder and Sheriff Fred Diamond the entire story. When I got in there, they had me, Hickson told the police. There were no seats, no chains, they just moved me around. I couldn't resist them. I just floated, felt like no sensation, no pain. They kept me in that position a little while, then they'd raise me back up. Hickson claimed that a machine resembling a giant eye looked over his entire body. He said he was surrounded by inhuman, 5-foot-tall, monopedal beings. Captain Ryder didn't believe the two men. He stepped out of the interrogation room but left a secret recording device running in hopes of obtaining the proof that there were alien stories were fabricated. But what he later heard on the recording made him think twice. Jesus Christ, God gave mercy. I thought I'd been through enough of hell on this earth, and now I've got to go through something like this, said Hickson to Parker. But they could have, I guess they could have harmed us, son. They had use. They could have done anything to us. I just wanted to cry right now, added Parker. What's so damn bad about it is nobody's going to believe us. With no physical evidence of their abduction, the alien story remains a mystery. Parker stayed quiet about the event for decades, but after Hickson's death in 2011, he wrote a 2018 book on the matter, and publication prompted others to come forward claiming that they too had seen UFOs that night. It makes me feel pretty good I'm not the only one who saw something, he said. Most of these people are credible people. Jeez. That's sad though. See, and that probably happens so much. That probably happens all the time where people, especially then, like, and I've said this numerous times, everybody always has like their opinions about it or whatever it is. Most people just can't like they don't want to talk about it or don't want to bring it up for fear that they're just going to be made fun of. And then these people die with these kind of stories. It's good stories that you could talk about, but they never get to tell it because everybody always judges the way who the fuck cares? Tell your story, man. Tell it before you die. Tell it to your family. Tell it to your friends, kids, grandkids, whatever it is. People are going to think you're crazy regardless, so you might as well get it out there. The alien abduction of Antonio Villas Boas. Jesus Christ. That ended in extraterrestrial. Did I read that right? Coitus? Oh my God. In 1954, two Venezuelan teachers claimed that they found a UFO in the woods and were only able to escape with their lives after fighting off small, hairy aliens. Brazilian journalist Joa Martins covered the alleged experience in 1957 and asked readers to send in their own. That's when he was contacted by farmer Antonio Boas. Martins paid for the 23-year-old's travel expenses and put him up in Rio de Janeiro, where Dr. Olav examined him. Boas claims that he had experienced an alien abduction one day after reading Martin's article chronicling the Venezuelan incident, which seemed rather convenient. Boas said he had been working nights in his family's field in order to avoid hot daytime temperatures. On October 16, 1957, he purposely saw a red star above the fields near Sao Francisco de Sales. As it approached, Boas claimed that atop the egg-shaped craft was a cupola containing a rotating red light. As the vessel extended its three legs to the earth, Boas claims that he tried to flee but was captured by 5 foot tall beings wearing gray overalls and helmets and then taken aboard their ship. Boas alleged that the beings' eyes were blue and small and their communication consisted of animal like sounds. After blood was taken from his chin, Boas was purposely placed in a room filled with a strange gas which caused him to feel severely ill. Soon, a naked and attractive female entered the room. Boas claimed the woman was adorned with long blonde hair and red red hair on her skin, I guess. That the two soon engaged in coitus. Afterwards, the woman gestured to her stomach, then motioned upwards, which Boas later interpreted to mean that she would raise their child in space. Boas claimed he felt angry at having been treated like a good stallion by the beings. He was subsequently taken off the ship and watched it ascend to the heavens. 4 hours had passed since his abduction. Though both Martins and Dr. Fontes believed the story was fabricated, the doctor noticed signs that Boa had radiation sickness such as nausea and bruising, burning sensations in the eye and the skin that was painful to the touch. Boas later became a successful lawyer who created models of the UFOs from his story in his spare time. While Walter Bueller of the Brazilian ufology group visited him in 1962 and published a report of his story, it still remains unproven. Boas died in 1991, but his intriguing alien story lives on. Jeez, that's crazy. That one's a little weird. Like, I don't know. I feel like if um, we're not that intelligent, I guess I would say. I'm like, why would you want to do that? You know what I mean? That's just weird. Or maybe we are. I don't know. Maybe we could be the smartest of them. I would hope that would not be the case, but sometimes it could be. Whatever. The UFO abduction of pilot Frederick Valentich while he was mid-flight. On October 21st, 1978, Australian pilot Frederick disappeared into thin air. It was during a 125 nautical mile training flight aboard his Cessna 182 over the Bass Strait between Tasmania and the Australian mainland that the confounding incident occurred. It's important to note that the 20-year-old, who was an enthusiast of alien stories and ufology, was a fairly experienced pilot. At 7 p.m., while at 4,500 feet, after departing the Moorabbin to reach Kings Island, Valentich reported that an unidentified craft was following him. Melbourne Flight Services insisted there was no traffic near him, but the pilot was adamant a large vessel was on his tail. He explained that he had 4 bright lights and suddenly passed 1,000 feet above him at a remarkable speed. For 5 straight minutes, Valentich described its movements and shiny metallic exterior. Suddenly, Valentich experienced engine trouble. Melbourne Flight Services asked him once again what the aircraft looked like. "It is hovering, and it's not an aircraft," were his final words. The last sound radio officials heard was a metallic scraping sound. Authorities presumed he had crashed, but a later search of the area yielded nothing. Not even the Australian Department of Transport could find answers. In 2014, however, new claims came to light. A UFO action group in Victoria alleged that an unidentified farmer observed a UFO nearly 90 feet in length hovering above his farm on the morning following Valentich's disappearance. More importantly, the farmer purportedly claimed that the pilot's plane was stuck to the UFO, leaking oil. While the farmer said he scratched the airplane's registration numbers on his tractor, he never came forward, claiming that the ridicule he received from his peers after telling them his tale had discouraged him. Unfortunately, the Victorian UFO group never managed to identify the man. For the UFO action groups led investigations, George Simpson, frustration abound. It is easy for someone to dismiss, but there are corroborating stories confirming that there was a UFO near Adelaide at the time. He said this was an experienced pilot who should have been able to identify another aircraft but was clearly unable to. Ultimately, only a few possibilities regarding the disappearance of Frederick Valentich exist: that he crashed and his remains were never recovered, that he purposefully disappeared, or of course that he was abducted by entities we don't yet understand. Damn. How the hell your whole plane? But I mean, the ocean's big, man. You crash out there, it ain't gonna take that long. Especially if it's a little tiny little 3-seater plane. Nah, man. In that time frame, they ain't never gonna find your ass. You're fucked. So that's shitty. I just read the storyline. When Travis Walton was abducted and probed for 5 days. All right, started like that. On November 5th, 1975, Travis Walton was purportedly abducted and didn't return for 5 whole days. When he did, he had quite the explanation for his disappearance. Dismissed as a mentally unstable liar, Walton's chronolod, chronicled chronicled his alleged alien stories in the Walton Experience 3 years later, which was adapted into the science fiction classic Fire in the Sky. Walton's abduction began after a long day's work in Sidgraves National Forest near Herbert, Arizona. Walton and his 6-man group of loggers were returning home when they allegedly spotted a shiny disc spanning 40 feet in diameter hovering in the sky above them. It was a metallic, glowing disc making some very strange sounds, he recalled. The closer I got to it, the more scared we all got, and they were swerving at me to get away from there. And when I got up close, it suddenly got louder and started to move. Walton then claimed that non-human beings abducted him and experimented on him until he fought them off. He has maintained this claim for 45 years, but as the beings perpetually poked and prodded at him on a kind of table, 5 days elapsed on Earth, where Walton was officially declared missing and his co-workers became suspects. Jeez, that would suck. I became conscious inside the craft, and I believed I was in the hospital, said Walton. I was in a lot of pain, and as it became more conscious, I looked around and saw alien beings, and I just panicked. They were much smaller than me. I think that's the reason they gave up, he said, adding that he hit one of them, and once they found out they couldn't control me, they split. I was absolutely terrified. Meanwhile, Walton's colleagues were questioned by authorities, and when Walton actually reappeared, a full-scale investigation was launched that included polygraphs, psychological evaluations, and physical examinations. For 5 days, the authorities thought he'd been murdered by his co-workers, and then when he returned, said UFOologist Jim Ledwith, all of the co-workers who were there who saw the spacecraft, they all took polygraph tests, and they all passed except for one, and that one was inconclusive. In the end, the Walton case remains an inconclusive, as all of the alien abduction stories do. Curiously, however, the later research conducted at the site of Walton's abduction showed an unusual growth rate in the trees where the craft had allegedly hovered. The trees near the site were found to be producing wood fiber at a rate 36 times greater than they had in decades before. Jesus Christ. That's a lot. That's fast, man. Trees grow slow, man. Like, there's not, can't just, that's just weird. Even if it's not aliens, there's something going on there. The UFO abductions of Audrey and Debbie Hewins from their childhood room. Audrey and Debbie Hewins not only claim that the alien's existence, but that alien abductions do too, and they've experienced them. I was probably about 5 years old or so, said Audrey, and a bright blue light would come into the room and the door would open, and there would be like a foggy kind of misty blue light just shining through the whole house, and these two figures would come in. Though Audrey's first alien abduction allegedly occurred during childhood, she claimed these visitations continued well into adulthood. We have been together on abductions, stated Audrey. We have been up in crafts and seen our house from above. So we realized that they are not from here. They are very good at mind erasing and whatever you want to call it. They'll leave you with bits and pieces of things and you can remember. Debbie added, I remember one time being on a spaceship and standing there on the spaceship and the floor and the walls disappeared and I was staring at the earth. Though the twins refer to these entities as the bald men, what they've described to people willing to listen closely resembles what ufologists have dubbed alien greys or simply greys. Greys are alleged to be a type of extraterrestrial being that is human-like in form, gray-colored and with an enlarged, hairless head. The twins said that they pleaded with their parents not to put them to bed for fear of encountering the bald man. But the adults simply dismissed these alien stories as a ruse to stay up longer. They started doing all kinds of experiments on us when we were 12, said Audrey. While she was initially hesitant to come forward, Audrey claimed that after a non human entity saved her from drowning in the ocean, she was inspired to dedicate her life to openly discussing her alien abduction experiences. Neuroscientist Robert Davis, who was one of the first professionals to lend his support to the twins, explained that Audrey and Debbie Hewen's experiences are shared by many thousands, if not millions, worldwide. It is unreasonable to think that they would all be lying or reporting dreams and fantasies, he said. These events are consistently reported and should be taken seriously by everyone in spite of their uniqueness. I almost said uniqueness, whatever the hell that means. Oh, let us see, let us see. And the last one. The alien story. Oh, damn, I didn't even see this one. The alien story of Marine veteran Terrell Copeland that saw him abducted while napping. As a former United States Marine, Terrell Copeland isn't easily dismissed as an unreliable observer, and so his alien stories are perhaps harder to shake. Copeland claimed that his first experience with aliens occurred in 2007 when he captured footage of what he believed to be a UFO on his cell phone from his apartment in Suffolk, Virginia. It was an orb of light, he said, just a big ball of light. It wasn't moving, one was solid white. The other was directly across from the street from it, 300 feet above the ground, and was changing colors very rapidly. Copeland recalled the feeling as though something was wrong and that he wasn't supposed to be witnessing these unnerving aerial appearances. But he alleged that it wasn't until after he published the footage online that things truly became strange. I woke up from a nap by the sound of someone trying to enter my apartment, he said. And I said, "Who is it?" There was no answer. You could see the doorknob moving like scratching at the door, and I keep a firearm. It was on my table, and my thought was to get up and check. Despite the urge to get up, Copeland was paralyzed and only able to move his eyes. Suddenly, he purportedly heard a voice through the door. Why does everyone use that word? Purportedly? Like, what? That's been in this damn thing for like 20 times already. A voice through the door tell him, "You don't need that weapon. We won't harm." The incident certainly resembled the natural phenomena known as sleep paralysis, which is experienced by many, but Copeland soon began to experience missing hours as well. He was incapable of accounting for 4 waking hours during a span of 2 nights. When you see these objects and then you do the research and you see that there are so many people who have experienced the same thing as you, he said, you have to say to yourself, maybe there is something to this. Copeland claimed that as soon as he started to keeping a log in notes and sketches, his memory of what happened during his episodes of missing time began to resurface. I was in a room and I saw a woman who did not have a complete human features, he said. She had the typical black eyes that you hear about. She had an elongated skull, and that startled me. And the next memory I have is me standing on my balcony, waving at the cylinder-shaped ship. Copeland's alien stories, which were eventually chronicled on the History Channel, remain both a startling and unproven as all alien abduction experiences was for the best, and has left him with desire to be a better person. Oh, that's good. I feel if someone from above took notice of me, then maybe I'm doing something right. And if I'm doing something right, maybe I can do it better. Jesus Christ. All right, let's see if we can get this fucking mouse to work now. That's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy and creepy. So there was one more. Where's it at? So there's this other website. I saw a lot of fucking weird stories. Here it is. Oh, here we go. A couple is staying in a remote cabin in rural Illinois. They both experience a dream that features alien beings in a craft. The next night and the following morning, evidence is discovered. I received this following account. This is from Phantoms and Monsters. I don't know if it shows. I don't think it tells the names of the people. He says, "Hi, my encounter occurred in Golconda, Illinois on 6/15/1991 at approximately 2:30 a.m. The night I thought I dreamed about several aliens coming into the cabin. I was staying with my girlfriend. Early the following morning, I awoke and described to my girlfriend my strange dream. She went on to tell me that she had the same dream, that she had been taken to a spacecraft out in the field that was near the cabin. In my dream, I was woken by 3 to 5 aliens. Their featureless faces were only illuminated by the reflection from their black eyes. I remember sitting up in bed, holding the covers up to my face so that only my eyes were exposed. They came towards me, and one seemed to be holding something strange, jewel encrusted wand. It was gold and had red and green crystals that may have been used to control the device. I think it was this device that was used by the aliens to disrupt my memory of the events. The next evening, my girlfriend woke me up very late at night, terrified. She said that they were back, and she didn't want to want did not want to do with me. Immediately, I became aware of a very low frequency humming that was coming from somewhere outside. Here is where it gets strange, since it was a waking memory, and I remember it as a waking memory. My actions at this point only seemed bizarre and irrational to me. I went out on the porch to see if there was anything. There was a very bright light shining through the trees that separated the space around the cabin from a large overgrown field. It was at this point I think the aliens again used their minds, or my own brain was just going into shock over seeing such a bright light shining from the isolated field. We were miles and miles from anything. The cabin we were in had no electricity and no water, and the closest neighbor was several miles down a dirt road. It was like my rational mind kicked in to convince me that what I was seeing was not real. I thought it could be some kind of an ATV, some kids on ATVs, or we were hearing the sound of a faraway generator, or that someone was simply playing a joke on us. From that point on, I can't remember much. I don't remember going back to the cabin. The next day, I woke up early in the morning and went out to the field to see if there was anything out where the bright light seemed to be emitted from. There were 8 concentric circles pressed into the grass and mud. These were not like crop circles, but appeared as if something had pressed into the ground. The outer circle was approximately 40 feet in diameter. Jesus Christ. See, and those are the scary ones. The ones that they're like that tap into your mind and stuff like that, and it feels like you're trying to your brain is like having a dream, but it feels like so physical. Like those are the creepy ones and the weird ones. So yeah, I mean, alien stories, they're fucking insane, insane. But I like these. I like these two spots where I found these. I mean, this Phantoms and Monsters. He seems to have a lot. Whoever's in charge of this channel, I don't even know who's in charge of this channel. Let me see. Let's see if we can find out, so I can give this dude some motherfucking credit. Doesn't say. Oh, there it is. Oh, Lon Strickler is I think the guy in charge of it. Yeah, Lon Strickler is a 14 researcher, author, and publisher of the syndicated Phantoms Monster blog. There you go. In 2005, he's been doing it for a while. Got some good stories, man. I like them. So, aliens. What do you guys think about them? Are they here? We're the only race? Are we the smartest people in the world? Or what's going on? Let me know in the comments. And yeah, other than that, guys, that's about it. We will end today's podcast with that. I hope you guys enjoyed the alien, creepy little weird stories and abductions that people have had throughout the years. And I will see you guys next week, hopefully. If not, we'll get one out there. We just gotta pace it and do it right and do everything like that. And I hope you guys like the weird little pictures I found at this. It was actually like a Halloween event or something like that. It was pretty cool. But we found those there. We bought those. They're pretty cool. I thought I'd hang them up in here. It's the only place I can put weird shit. So yeah. Other than that, guys, I hope to see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Take care of each other. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Later. Peace.